In this video, I want to talk to you about frugal living for early retirement. That's a loaded topic, but let me explain. Frugal living as in how can you be smarter with your spending and less wasteful with your money. And the less wasteful you are with your money, the more you are in control of your future. I'll talk more about that in just a second. And also, early retirement in my humble little world doesn't mean sipping on mojitos on a beach somewhere.
Not that you can go to a beach nowadays.
I just want to save and invest enough so that the income from my investments will cover all my expenses and I can pursue whatever the heck I want. Now, for practicality reasons, I've broken this video into 4 segments. Frugal living in general, frugal living for food, transport, and also for clothing. And the best way for you to get the most out of watching this video is to take what I say as a source of inspiration and take what you think will work for you, try it for yourself, and see what you want to keep. Now, if this is your first time here, welcome. Remember to always gently smash that like button because I took my time to brush my hair for you guys today. And I know, it looks great, doesn't it? Without further ado, let's go. Okay, so before we jump into the 4 segments of frugal living, it's important I talk about why live frugally in the first place. My reason is really simple. My independence, as in how I choose to spend my time in the future, should be purely up to me and not up to anyone else. And that's really, really important to me. Now, in our society, we're so programmed by marketing and a bunch of BS influencers saying that we need this in order to be happy. And the next thing we know, our liabilities, as in our credit card debt or any debt that's not used towards generating more income, is so high that we are forced to go work at a job that we barely like, to pay for things that we barely even want, to impress people that we barely even know. And personally, that's not how I want to live my life in the future. And fortunately, you're watching this video because you somewhat feel the same. You don't want that. And this is where frugal living comes into play. The more frugal we are, the more of an opportunity that we have to build our asset column in our personal balance sheet. And as we build our assets in our personal balance sheet, this is where we regain control of our future financial independence, or our independence in general. And the opposite is also true. If you build up liabilities that doesn't contribute to building your assets, you are giving control to the world to dictate what or how you spend your time in the future. Call me a control freak, but I want to make sure that I am truly the captain of my ship and the master of my fate. All right, now that we got the why out of the way, let's just jump into some practical frugal living tips. So the first segment is general frugal living tips that could be applied by anyone, but not all of the points is for everyone. So make sure you take what you think will work for you, try for yourself, and keep what you want to keep. And the first point is living in more affordable areas instead of trying to live in a city and justifying it with it's cheaper for me to live in a city because I don't have to spend money on transport. The most important thing is do your calculation. Do you actually save more by living in the city? Only you know that, so make sure you do your own calculations to see if you're actually saving more by living in the city, or would you save more by living just a little bit further away from the city. I want to build on that point. Now, in the city, your environment is significantly different because majority of really good restaurants, at least in Sydney, is kind of around the city area. And that's really tempting to always eat out because good restaurants are really accessible. And on top of that, who are you surrounded by? Who are your top 5 friends and what are their spending habits? Do they want the same thing as you when it comes to trying to live frugally so that you can be financially independent in the future? Because ultimately, if you are trying to live frugally and in their eyes, they see it as being cheap, it's very hard for you to keep motivated and live frugally over the long term. And fundamentally, there's actually a difference between living frugally and cheap. Frugal really means trying to be smart and less wasteful with your money. Whereas cheap is that you know that this thing is gonna break, but you just wanna get the cheapest version anyway. So I urge you to think about who are the top 5 people that you are surrounding yourself with, because they ultimately contribute to your ability to live frugally and ultimately be financially independent sometime in the future. Now, the next point is a little tough and it must sting a little, and that's watching those expensive habits, especially those expensive habits that destroy your health. And a really good example of that is smoking. Now, if you're a smoker, I don't need to tell you how much money you need to keep up with that habit. Not to mention it's destroying your health along the way. Imagine putting that money and investing it instead, that every time you wake up, you're getting paid. The choice is yours. But I just wanted to at least present the perspective and you can choose for yourself. Now, another general frugal living tip is watching your credit card spending. Credit cards are a great tool to manage your cash flow, especially in times of need that you just need to spend a little bit of extra money. But any other times, you should never carry a balance and you should always pay it down as much as you can, because those high interest payments are just such a waste of money. It doesn't generate more assets. It doesn't build your wealth unless you're using the credit card to build your business and spend that money to generate more income, then hey, do you. And the next frugal living tip is definitely not for everyone, and that's giving yourself a haircut. Now, as you notice, I shave my own head. I give myself a haircut every 2 to 3 weeks, and by doing that, I am saving approximately $700 a year. Now, as stupid as it sounds, I used to spend $40 on corporate haircuts so that I look really good in the business world.
No.
But by doing this, I no longer have to pay $40 every 2 to 3 weeks. And yes, there's probably cheaper places where I could have got my haircut. And since then, I've been saving approximately $700 a year, that instead of spending that money on haircuts, I invest that money so that every time I wake up, I have more income. Who wouldn't want that? Now, the next two is very straightforward, and all of your bills should always be on automation. You should never have a late payment, and you should take advantage of early payments if possible, because usually with energy bills, strata bills, I know I get discounts if I pay early. Actually, a significant discount too. So I always try and pay early if I can, and never ever a late payment. And the last point is taking care of your body. Eating well, exercising regularly. Ultimately, you're gonna save yourself a lot of money in the future with expensive medical bills if you just take care of yourself now. And the next segment I want to talk about when it comes to frugal living is food. Now, when it comes to food, I'm not gonna recommend you to grow your own food because one, ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
And two, not everyone have enough land to grow enough food to feed a family. So that's not really practical for the majority of us. Now, with what's happening in the world, you can't really eat out as much, but might I suggest not having takeaway as much? Because ultimately, when you cook your own food, it tends to be significantly cheaper than you getting takeaway. And instead of drinking a lot of soft drinks and alcohol, maybe a little bit more water. And not only is that better for your body, it's better for your wallet. And coffee at home really isn't that bad. And I used to spend $5.50 on a soy mocha every morning if I was able to wake up at 5 a.m. as a reward for myself. And now that I'm spending a lot more time at home and I'm having coffee at home, I am saving an enormous amount of money every week. Over a span of a week, because I go to the office 6 days a week, I spend at least $30 just on coffees alone. Imagine putting that money towards investments and every time you wake up, there's more dollar bills around you. Which one would you rather? Now, another segment when it comes to living frugally is transportation. Now, one of my biggest transportation costs just a couple months ago was owning a car. If you're a car owner yourself, then you know that it comes with insurance bills, maintenance, repair bills, fuel, and a bunch of other things that tends to kind of just pop out of nowhere. And it turns out that it's actually faster for me to get to my destination using public transport instead of driving. Now, of course, there are some cities that it's actually cheaper and more efficient if you drive a car instead of using public transport. But in majority of cases, it just doesn't really make sense for me. And a couple months ago, I sold my car, and since then, I've been able to save just a ton of costs when it comes to operating a vehicle. And not to mention that the amount of money that I save using public transport is just mind-blowing. On the point of public transport also, if you're in Australia or any other country with an off-peak time slot where if you travel around that time, you get a discount with your transportation costs, try and take advantage of that if possible. Now, in Sydney, Australia, we have an off-peak hour if you travel before 7 or travel before 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And because I'm an early riser and I work for myself, I tend to use those time slots in a way to reduce my costs. And the amount, let me show you on the screen right now. In a given year, I spend about $2,700 if I don't take advantage of those off-peak hours. Now, if I take advantage of the off-peak hours, I save 30%. At a 30% discount, I save $810. Imagine putting that $810 in investments, how much faster I'll be able to get to that level of financial independence. So the choice, again, is up to you. Now, one of the last segments when it comes to living frugally is clothing. Now, clothing is very different for everyone. It's different for guys, it's different for girls. Take what I say with a grain of salt because it might sting a little bit. Now, because I'm trying to be financially independent when I am 35, my wardrobe is very minimalistic. I have over 14 to about 20 same black t-shirts from H&M or other places that is very, very affordable. That's about 10, 15 bucks a pop. I don't really need a lot of clothing. I have a couple jackets that keep me warm in the winter and a couple pair of jeans. That's really about it. And I just try and not spend too much money on clothing. I do have to buy backpacks or like shoes every so often when they're worn out, but that really is about it. I don't really spend that much money on clothing. I just rather spend money on other things like this camera that you see here. That I am willing to put money in because that's important to me. On that note, actually, when it comes to clothing, try and avoid those buy now, pay later type options or services because those are built with the intention that buying feels frictionless. It doesn't cost anything. It only costs a couple dollars to have the latest and greatest of every freaking thing on earth. And next thing you know, there are so many of those little payments, it really does rack up. And it's not always free because you're paying in maintenance costs, account setup costs, a bunch of other things that you have to pay. Believe me, I know because it's part of my job to convince other people to take advantage of buy now, pay later type situations so that I can increase the sales of a company. So be wary of that because those things are really built to take advantage of people who just want the things right now. So thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. As you can tell throughout the video, my lighting has been changing a little bit. It's slightly out of my control because I've been recording for a little while now and it's getting a little dark outside. And I want to finish the video on this note. Now, for you to go on the journey of living frugally, you have to understand why you're doing it in the first place. And for me personally, how I choose to spend my time in the future should not be up to anyone else except for myself. And my independence should be in my hands and not up to anyone else. So, given that is my personal goal, frugal living is a key ingredient that will allow me to save more and then invest more. So that keeps me going. Now, remember earlier in the video, I mentioned that your surroundings, not just physical surroundings, but also your friends and family that you surround yourself with really impact your ability to live frugally. And I'm a true testament of that because in my household right now, my family, my loved ones, they are all trying to have the same thing. We're all trying to live below our means and save and invest as much as I can so that we can have that financial independence a little bit earlier instead of working to our 50s and 60s just so that we can retire. Now, if you feel like you're on this journey alone, you don't have to feel alone now. You're watching my video, you're here with me. If you want to just talk to me, leave me in the comments below in terms of what was your hardest challenge so far when it comes to living frugally. Is your family and friends encouraging you or they're pulling you down? Like, let me know in the comments below so that we can have a conversation because I'd love to learn from you as well. And as usual, I really do appreciate you watching all the way to the end because that really helps me out a lot. And if you want to support me, just make sure you gently smash that like button, subscribe to my channel, clicking onto the bell so that every week when I release my brand new videos, you'll be the first one to know. And until next time, see you very, very soon.